Cole, right?
hmm
Taylor, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
So, what brings you in today?
I'm having some general anxiety and depression issues over the last couple months.
Okay, could you tell me a little bit more about that? Maybe why it's been happening recently?
So, I mean, like I said, over the last couple months, I've been suffering from it. I've been trying to pick up more shifts at work.
Mhm.
Um, I'm the main one that brings money in at my family, so I have to, support them, and it's been really tough dealing with not only the pressure but just the general exhaustion of working so much. I gotta work. It's usually 6 days a week. I only get one day to myself, and even then, I got two kids and a fiance, so that one day to myself isn't really to myself, and
Mhm.
it all kind of piles up.
Yeah. So, what do you do for work?
I deliver mail.
Okay.
Long hours, a lot of walking and driving, and granted, I'm by myself, but you're by yourself at work. You're not at home doing the things you enjoy, not worrying about somebody breathing down your neck. I mean,
Mhm.
I got a GPS on me all day. I don't really get to go and sit down and have a nice day outside or whatever. I'm working.
Yeah. So, it sounds like that you're the main breadwinner in your family.
Yep, I
Okay.
I am the main income. Everybody relies on me for their health insurance, so it's not like I can stop working. In all honesty, this really wasn't what I wanted to be doing with my life. I'd much rather be at home with my kids and taking care of them, but
I see.
there's a lot of pressure from not only my fiance and the fact that I have to keep my kids going, but the rest of my family to be the guy. You know what I mean?
I see.
I'm the one that brings home the bacon.
So, it sounds like that most of the pressure is coming from your family to go out and work. Or is this also coming from your fiance as well?
It's both. Um, the pressure of my family is definitely a lot worse because I know. I mean, I've had conversations with my fiance about it, and as much as we would both like to have a stay-at-home parent, it's not really an option. Um, but yeah, I mean, my parents are very traditional, so it's very much you're the guy, you go into work, you provide for your family. I don't care if you want to stay at home and cook and get your kids off the bus and
Mm,
be there for them. Instead, you got to be waking up 6 in the morning, getting back 5 in the afternoon.
I see. That sounds like it's a lot of pressure and stress
Oh
on
yeah.
you on a very much daily basis.
Mm-hmm.
Do you make any time for yourself on the day that you have off? I know you said that you still have to tend to your kids and to your fiance, but is there anything that you try to do on your days off? Like, what are your hobbies and your interests?
I do some of the guy stuff. I don't drink, but I play video games or talk to my friends or I read. I really like reading.
Okay,
It's a good escape for me, but I mean, an escape can only do so much.
I see. Yeah, that is difficult. Um, so, how long have you been a mailman?
Probably about a year and a half.
Okay, and what were you doing before that?
Um, I had kind of more of a relaxed job.
Mm-hmm.
I delivered pizzas, but it wasn't like a 40 hours a week thing.
Okay,
Um, but I mean, we had dual income. Everything was going okay. I mean, we're not my fiance and I. We're not wealthy, but uh, with prices increasing and stuff like that, I was really pressured to find something that paid a lot more. And I mean, as much as the things I want are the things that I want, I felt like it was more poignant to support the rest of my family.
okay.
You know, as much as it's a lot of pressure, I felt like I had to.
And where was that pressure coming from? Was it from your fiance, or it sounds like your family is very traditional? Was that coming from your
It was
family?
coming from my family.
Okay. Anyone in
My
particular?
mother specifically.
Okay.
You know, my mom is very much. My mom worked a lot when she was younger too, and she's like, well, you need to work and provide for your kids and give them everything that they need slash want, because that's what you should do as a parent. You're there specifically to support your children.
Okay.
Um, and I mean, yeah, I had to give up on the thing that I kind of dreamed of, which was being able to be at home and take care of my kids, and instead I have to be away from them constantly in order to take care of them.
So it sounds like you're putting satisfying your mother and your mother's happiness and content over your own.
I guess you could put it that way. I try not to think about it that way.
Mm. Okay, so you mentioned earlier that you've also been experiencing anxiety and depression a lot more lately. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
So the anxiety is kind of generalized. It comes and goes. The depression is more like I get out of work and the sort of thing that's holding me together to go to work is gone because I'm not at work anymore, and then it comes off and I just feel like shit. I don't really know another way to put it. But I mean, the only day when I don't have to deal with that, because I'm not going to work, I don't have to deal with the pressure, is Sundays.
Okay, so Sundays you're not really experiencing much anxiety or depression. It's kind of a bit of an exception.
Yeah, I mean, unless you count money, but I mean, who doesn't have anxiety?
That's very true. So, on the days that you are experiencing depression, anxiety, what do you mean when you say you feel depressed? What does it look like when you're not feeling depressed versus feeling depressed?
Well, I mean, I do my best to hide whatever I'm feeling. I mean, as much as I grew up around a lot of women,
Okay.
so as much as I am very in touch with my own emotions, the emotions of people around me, I do my best to hide it so that I'm not being a burden on other people.
Okay.
But I mean, the best way that I can describe it is it's almost like putting on a blanket, and when I put that blanket on, which is it's the depression, it feels like a blanket almost. Um, it like weighs me down, and nothing really gives me like a spark of happiness. Like I'll feel it for a second, and then it's gone, and it once again feels like I have this kind of cold weight on me, on my shoulders, my back, and my chest. And
Okay. So I'm hearing a lot of like physical sensations when you're feeling depressed.
yes,
And it sounds like you have felt like a burden when experiencing these emotions before. You use that word burden. Is this a way that you've always felt with your depression? Is this something that's new? Um, could you talk a little bit about that?
I've been suffering with depression for a long time, but I felt like it had finally gotten bad enough again to seek help. I went for help um, a couple years ago for a family matter, and
Okay.
it's different from that depression, but it's definitely a familiar feeling.
Okay.
This is a way that it has presented itself before, and uh, I'm familiar with the way it feels.
Okay. Well, I do want to let you know that this is something a lot of people are struggling with nowadays. The money problems, feeling like they need to be the breadwinner, um, this gender norms that have been placed on society. Everybody is still trying their best to kind of correct that problem, and you're not alone. This is a very real and normal problem that a lot of people are experiencing, and it's not wrong of you to have a dream to be a stay-at-home father. I know that men have a lot of pressure out there to be the main breadwinner and, like you said earlier, to bring home the bacon. But I think that your dreams matter too, and it's not wrong for you to not want to work and spend time with your children. It sounds like you really love your children and that they
I do.
do bring a spark to your life.
One of the things that is part of the reason why I'm doing this is because I want to be able to get married someday. My stuff is expensive, and as much as I know that my family and my fiance's family will help out, I mean, you can't really rely on other people for, at least in my opinion, for everything.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I want to be able to contribute, and I have to make money to be able to do that, along with supporting my family. That's probably the only pressure that I've put on myself without someone else putting that pressure on me.
Okay, cool. So from what I've gathered in just this short session together, it sounds like you're a very hardworking man and that you care a lot about your family, your children, your fiance. You care about pleasing the people around you, even if it's to your own detriment, as you've described. Being hardworking is a great trait to have. It really is. Um, you're very welcome. Suppose I have a question for you. Okay. So suppose one night you're asleep, there's a miracle that's performed while you're asleep, and your problem of anxiety, depression, the feeling of needing to please all of those around you has been solved. How would you know? How would your life look different?
I'd be able to comfortably have my dream job and raise my kids without needing to worry about, how the food's getting on the table, or what my mother's going to think, or anything about, money. It's the root of a lot of anxiety for me.
It's the root of anxiety for a lot of people. You're not alone. Again, it's a very normal problem that a lot of people are dealing with. And it also sounds like if this miracle were to happen, that things would finally be going the way that you want them to, and not necessarily the way that your mother wants them to go.
Yes.
And is that a big goal for you in therapy, is to kind of work on your assertiveness a little bit and sticking up for your thoughts and opinions? What are your goals, you would say, in therapy?
I mean, that's definitely part of it. I want to learn how to cope better.
Okay.
Because, at this point, I know that I at least can't leave this job because it's part of what is supporting my current lifestyle. But it would be nice to be able to not get walked over all the time when there's something that I really don't want to do, and be able to say no. That would be fantastic.
So learning to say no, I'm hearing, and speaking up for yourself.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, Cole, I definitely think that's stuff that we could work on together in therapy. There are a few techniques and some things I'd like to offer to you before we end our session today. You said that when you struggle with anxiety, you feel like there's a blanket on you, and a lot of physical sensations that you talked about that are alarming to you. There is a technique that I'd like to offer when you're feeling anxious, just kind of scanning your surroundings, naming, 10 things you see in the room, then 9 things, then 8, 7, until you get all the way down to 1, just to kind of ground yourself a little bit. And you did also mention that you love reading. You said it's a big hobby of yours.
It is.
Okay. Is that something you try to do on Sundays when you have time?
Yeah, it's an afternoon, kids are all playing outside kind of activity.
Okay. So I do have a recommendation for you for a book if you'd be interested.
Sure.
All right. It's called Delusions of Gender: How Our Mind, Society, and Neurosexism Create Difference. It's by Cordelia Fine. I can send you the link after our session ends today if you'd like.
I'd appreciate that.
Okay, I think it's a really interesting read. We talked a little bit about gender roles in society and how you feel really pressured to be the main breadwinner from yourself and all those around you, and I think it would be a very interesting read for you.
Okay.
All right. So how about same time next week?
Yeah, that works for me.
All right. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.